ever heard the phrase old too soon and smart too late? Or how about the phrase that says something like this: if I knew all that I knew when I was a teenager and thought I had all of the answers, I wish my problems would be during that time frame. Or something like, uh, I wish I had these problems when I was a teenager and had all of the answers. Job reflects in chapter 14 and 15 on one of the most important issues that faces man today. Is there life hereafter? I can remember talking to my father early in his time of being witnessed to by me, and he said, when you're dead, and that's all there is to it. So you got to make the most out of life here. Now, his philosophy wasn't party and take advantage of anybody you can, because that's your only chances in life. As a matter of fact, it was to the contrary. It was treat each other with respect and do things that are rewarding, because you're only going to have one chance to do that. A good person, but not a saved person. So the question comes up as you read chapter 14 and 15 with Job's comments. What did Job believe about afterlife? Some of the statements that he makes in chapter 14 and 15 certainly demand that kind of an answer. He certainly reflects on the brevity of mortal earthly life, and I think all of us ought to certainly reflect on that. For even though many people today are living into their 70s, 80s, and 90s, and even some into the hundreds, there's no guarantee of that number of years. As a matter of fact, we have examples of both extremes here in the little community we live in Simpsonville, where recently a man died at 92. But also we have examples of people that have died in their 50s here in the same subdivision. Well, none of us know how many days we have, and whether it's illness or whether it's accident or whatever the cause might be, how many days you have. But no matter how many days you have, I would say that if you ask anybody over the age of 60, if life went by pretty quickly for them and they suddenly realized that they were in the last quarter of their life, they would say it sure went by fast. And so we certainly would agree with Job in the fact that the brevity of life is something to think about and to make the most of each of the days that we have here on earth in our mortal bodies. But he also makes some statements about God hiding him in death. And then he makes an interesting statement. He says, until my change. So there's two things that make me believe that Job believed in some type of an afterlife. Now, he makes clear earlier in his statements that he doesn't believe that we're going to come back to this earth. He doesn't believe in reincarnation. But there's several statements that he makes that make me believe that he believed in an afterlife of some kind. This is one of them, that until the change. But it's not as much what he said as what he didn't say. He didn't say, I'll die and that'll be the end of it. I'll never have to face the suffering and the troubles and the pains again. It's quite obvious to me that he believed there was something more. And I think that you could clearly state, based on what he didn't say, that he believed in some form of afterlife. Did he believe in predestination? There's certainly some statements here in chapter 14 and 15 that you could make an argument for predestination. Calvinism, if you will. But there are also some statements here that might make you believe that it's more foreknowledge of God rather than predestination of God. Nevertheless, awareness of life on earth, awareness of the brevity of life, and the fact that Job himself sometimes asked the question, does God hear? Is God punishing me for something that I've done? Why does God allow the wicked to prosper and the righteous to suffer? And I have to come back to the fact that God is all-knowing. God is all-powerful. But his ways are not our ways. And none of us have the mind of God. So what is the point that Job is making in chapter 14 and 15? He's not just saying, why, God, is all of this happening to me? But he's saying, what then? After I go through all of this, what then? What will my days be like in the future? And I think that's one of the things that we can certainly today, especially with COVID, cancer, and some of the other things that can take somebody out quickly. When we're witnessing, we can go by the factor, what do you believe happens after you die? And if they believe that there's a possibility, even a possibility, of some form of soul life after the mortal life here on earth, then you have the basis of being able to say, do you think God revealed to us how we can have a soul life in heaven? And if we have that opening, we have an opportunity to witness. I think it's really important to read through carefully chapter 14 and 15. Old too soon, smart too late. What if there is something after this mortal life here on earth? How do we prepare for it? If there's a God, then what has he prepared for us? And what are the options that we have in that afterlife? I think these are good questions, and I think that Job chapter 14 and 15 are good arguing points, good discussion points, good things to think about. So why not read them again? Chapter 14 and 15. Job says, I just want to be hidden until I change. What is that change going to be? How do we find that change? Is there two different options for that change? These are all good witnessing questions. Job certainly believed there was something after death, or else he would have said, just go ahead and take me, and then my problems are over and I'll no longer have to suffer. But Job rather says, hide me until my change. My thought for the day. God bless you and have a great day.